I used to think I was sort of worthless, and people would tell me, "Oh, you're not worthless. You're not worthless. Shut up," sort of thing. But that would make me think, well, they're just saying that. They're not really meaning it. If you really meant it, then you sort of do something about it instead of just saying, "Oh, shut up," sort of that. You're not worthless, sort of thing. But I talked to with my counsellor with it, and he would be like, "Well, if they didn't think you were worthless, well, if they did think you were worthless, why would they need to sort of say stuff to you to make you feel better?" And I'd be like, "Well, they could be just saying it." And it would sort of like go around in that sort of circle until I sort of realised that maybe, yeah, if they really thought I was worthless, then they wouldn't care at all. They'd be like, pff, and sort of just cast me asunder, sort of thing. But I do think from time to time people care, but sometimes I forget that, and I'd be like, and you don't care, sort of thing. But I'm getting better at it. I'm managing to sort of like put all these things together and be like, hey, now I'm happy.
I couldn't see myself for who I was, so I'd walk past a shop window or something and I wouldn't recognise who it was, and so I sort of didn't have a mental image of who I was, you know, what I stood for. Sort of like, this is me, I look like this, and I'm like this, and I like this, and I remember using to like having to make it up when I was at school, when I was at primary school. You know, they used to ask you all these questions, like, and you'd have to write your name, and then you'd have to write, you know, what lessons you like and which lessons you don't like. And I remember just making it up because I didn't know what I liked and what I didn't like, and so just sort of I felt that everybody else knew who they were and knew what they were about and stuff, but that I didn't. I'm sure that other people had feelings like that, but it was sort of, you know, I went through a long stage of thinking I was adopted, to a stage where I actually requested my birth certificate and looked at it because I was convinced for a long time that I was adopted, that, you know, this whole life can't be quite true. And just, it's quite hard to explain now, sort of, because I'm not there now, but it was just sort of like trying to discover who you are, but not really being able to get anywhere. I think I remember describing it once. It was like trying to say life is like a jigsaw puzzle, and I was like trying to put it together, but I just didn't have all the pieces. So it was like desperately searching for those pieces without knowing what those pieces are meant to be.
It made me feel disappointed in myself, and that I'd failed myself, I'd failed my teachers, I failed my parents, and that just made me worse. It just made me feel a whole lot worse, and, you know, then it starts the onward spiral of you feel worse, so you do worse, and then as you do worse, your expectations of yourself fail more, and then you start going worse, and before you know it, you dropped out of college and you're out of work and you've not got nothing to your name.
When college started, university, everyone's just known me to be a confident person, because once I left my old school behind, it was just easy to move on and pretend like I've always been confident. But obviously it was kind of, you know, it was actually worse than it was before. I wasn't just feeling bad, I was doing things to make, you know, actually damaging me. So it was, yeah, I got more confident, I suppose, in a way, but I still, even now, I prefer doing things on my own. But, you know, I know when I was younger as well, I was quite quiet. I am naturally a quiet person. I like acting confident, but the majority of the time I don't feel very confident. So, you know, I've become quite a good liar. It's just not a great thing. I mean, it's not a great thing to admit, but I'm good at hiding it, like my real feelings, because, you know, I can't lie, really. I'm a terrible liar. I couldn't possibly steal something and then pretend like I hadn't done it. I definitely, you know, I'm definitely better not being the real me. I can definitely hide the real me more now. So as a child I was probably quite quiet, and I wore my heart on my sleeve. Like, if I was upset, everyone would know it, and now it never happens like, you know, people. If they catch me on a really bad day, I might be sitting there quite quietly going, go away, I just want to sit here on my own, and I might, you know, that might be as far as it gets, but generally I don't want to push my low mood onto everyone else, because I know it's contagious sometimes. It's someone's feeling sad, I mean, they'll make someone else feel sad, and I don't want to be the person that sets off a bit of a sob fest, like sitting amongst a circle of friends, everyone started crying, and I was going, no, it's okay.
Do you think depression's affected your self-confidence? And
oh yeah, definitely. I wouldn't say shy, but in turn I wouldn't say I was ever really that outgoing, but I wasn't afraid of meeting new people. I wasn't afraid of letting, you know, to be heard and to stand out, and you know, to stand up for myself. I didn't necessarily agree with something. I would have immediately said, well, you know, I don't agree with that, and you know, and argued my point. And now I feel a bit like a doormat since I've had the depression. You know, I just feel like I'm being walked over and used, and even though I'm aware of other people's behaviour and how I'm being treated, I haven't necessarily got the confidence to stand up for myself anymore. And I feel quite vulnerable. I think depression does make you feel quite vulnerable, and you know, and quite low.